What's good, y'all? Time for a DL short. Hey, it's time to start paying attention. Things are really starting to get crazy. This recession everyone says is coming. It's here. The the big time bomb, the elephant in the the elephant in the room, or the bull in the coffee shop, or China shop. All those little phrases I'm messing up right now, but y'all get the point. That is the commercial real estate situation. It's about to go bust. Look at what's going on right now. Housing costs are up. Why? No one knows. Interest rates are up and they're going to stay up. Jerome Powell's made that clear. Apartment rentals are up. What else is up? Repossessions, defaults on loans. Like cars are being repossessed crazy. Like the auctions are packed. People are defaulting on loans. They defaulting on credit cards. They defaulting on unsecured loans and stuff like that. Wages aren't going up. Like the jobs numbers apparently are really good. So Americans are apparently working, but inflation is killing the dollar's purchasing power. It's a lot going on, guys. I know everyone is working hard. They're on that hamster wheel. They're busting their butts trying to make ends meet. They don't have time to sit around and watch and read and listen like this guy does. But I'm telling you now, you got to prepare yourself. And I don't know anything about anything. I'm just an old man sitting in his attic talking to a computer. But let's listen to some people who are out here watching and paying attention.
All right, let's talk a little bit about some things that are going on with the economy, which could end up being the biggest story of the coming years. This term doom loop is getting used now over and over again to describe basically a downward spiral, and specifically with regard to commercial real estate. Put this report up on the screen from the Wall Street Journal. Their headline is Real Estate Doom Loop Threatens America's Banks. Regional banks' exposure to commercial real estate is more substantial than it appears. So the Wall Street Journal did an analysis of the level of debt that was held by especially mid-levels of regional banks, the level of commercial debt that they held. And also, they say that in addition to that direct exposure, many of these banks also lent to financial companies that make loans to some of those same landlords and bought bonds backed by the same type of properties. And that indirect lending, if you include that, amounts to an equivalent of 20% of their deposits. That gives you a sense.
So what are they talking about here? You know, I am a huge fan of Breaking Points. Guys, please go over there, subscribe, watch, like, share, all that stuff. Even go to their website, and if you can, help support them. This is independent news. These are people, Sager and Crystal, are out here trying to bring you the real, not serve you up what mainstream media is told to serve up by the 1%. Like, they're really bringing stories and trying to help you out. This stuff may seem like headlines to us normal folks, because when I was working, I didn't have time to really look into all this sort of thing. I was too busy cranking, being busy, doing what I got to do. Now I got some time. I'm retired. Here's the thing. George Gammon has been talking about this very thing. He's been talking about what's going on with Wall Street. He's been talking about historically. He's been talking about all sorts of stuff that revolves around this topic, right? Especially commercial real estate. He's been talking about this for almost a year and a half now. It's just a matter of time. That's it. It's just a matter of time. We've seen these, these small and mid-sized banks collapse, and the government had to come in, right? You've seen these backstops, which are just bailouts by another name. And who's benefit from it? The big banks and the 1%. Wall Street already knows this is coming. They've already priced this in. They've already moved their money. They know what's going on. Your elected officials, the people in DC, they're not talking about it, but trust me, they know about it. They've moved their money, right? They are following their marching orders to the letter. They're not saying anything about it, smoke and mirrors. They rather talk about Barack Obama having a gay lover, or Donald Trump's mugshot, or, politicians who are too old, which they are. Smoke and mirrors. This is going to affect us in a major way. The Wall Street Journal is talking about it because the 1% has already secured their position. They're ready. Y'all got to get ready. Let's continue.
Of the massive amount of exposure that these regional banks have. Put the next chart up on the screen so people can visualize this. This, they say, is the cumulative change in commercial real estate exposure since March 2015 by bank size. This was based on an analysis of FDIC data. You can see large banks have some exposure, but there is a much higher level of risk for the sort of regional and local banks which have already been made more vulnerable by Fed interest rate hikes that, pushed some who were kind of outliers in a sense, but still could be canaries in the coal mine like Silicon Valley Bank over the edge. Now, as we've discussed before, the reason we're harping on commercial real estate in particular is because during COVID, obviously a lot of office workers worked from home, and now remote work and hybrid work schedules have so much of big city office. The values of those buildings have collapsed and are continuing to collapse. We're seeing that in real time. The number of sales of those type of properties is down like 70%. So it's just fallen off a cliff. Many people who hold these type of properties, they're trying to wait out the storm. So they don't actually want to sell right now because they're kind of afraid of how bad the valuation would be. And at the same time, a lot of their debt comes due over the next couple of years. And if they did have to roll over and refinance, we now have much higher rates than what existed in the past. So they're under a massive amount of pressure. And that means that the banks that hold this debt are going to be under a massive amount of pressure. And it seems very unlikely at this point, given that, hybrid work schedules, I think, are here to stay. And given the difficulty of converting these spaces into residential units, it seems very difficult to imagine what gets them out of this terrible situation.
It's big.
This is huge. And, the YouTubers and the people out there like George Gammon and you have others out there who've been talking about it. People look at them like, oh, Chicken Little, the sky's falling. These guys are just regular people out there who follow this world. They're in this world. This is how they made their millions. And they're trying to let others know. The people at the top know. It's the people at the bottom that don't know. Ben Mahler, huge real estate investor. Huge. He has, I think, $500 million worth of properties out there. He's been talking about this for 6 months or more now. He's saying the deals are coming. Blood is on his way into the streets. Things are beginning to collapse. There's going to be a shift, right? Ben Mahler's here in Tampa. He's selling off assets left and right to get cash. He's getting cash heavy so he can go out here and get the deals, baby. Those are his words. They're going to be deals. He understands how the world works. He understands this market. He's just getting ready to make some money. George Gammon, he's just out there looking at the numbers, the graphs and the charts. He's always talking about the inversions that are going on right now. And whenever you have that inversion, there's always a recession that follows. He's been talking about that for a minute. It's coming. It's coming, right? I hope you guys are ready. Let's continue.
Problem. I mean, it's one of those where and by the way, I was not aware of how much of commercial real estate floats on variable interest loans. I guess everyone just got real comfortable, didn't they, during
Yeah.
the 2010s?
Yeah, they just thought like zero interest rate would last forever.
I mean, it's crazy. I'm reading this and I'm like, did nobody ever price in the fact that we could go to 5%? Because when you do, then the entire cost, like the cost projection of your property takes a dive.
Yeah.
Then you take, and that's in normal times. Then you take a situation like COVID and you take a black swan event, you're getting absolutely wiped out. And the exposure here is wild. I mean, we're talking trillions and trillions of dollars across apartment and office and apartment lending, construction loans, small business loans, commercial mortgage-backed securities, real estate investor loans, and then other assets linked to actual commercial properties. The Wall Street Journal has been doing fantastic work on this. And I just don't think that they and other analysts in the space won't continue to use doom loop unless they mean it. I mean, and I look at this, Crystal, and I just see basically no way out except for a bailout. I mean, there's just no way that these real estate billionaires who have their entire fortunes that are pegged to their real estate asset portfolios, you really think they're going to take a 40, 50% haircut and they're going to let the downtown go bankrupt. There's no way. It's not going to, I'm not saying I think it's just. I'm saying I'm looking at this, bailout is coming. 100%. There's no way that they'll let the billionaires go bankrupt on this, or even the small regional banks. Everybody will come up with some, like reason, et cetera, why, but we are either a year out, maybe a year and a half out. Who knows? There's no way interest rates are going to zero again. It really looks, from basically what I've read, where a lot of these loans don't even make sense over 2%. And then, and that's with vacancy. And considering where we are with that, it's a catastrophe. And one of the reasons why everyone should care about this is that if small banks and regional banks and all that stuff get wiped out, that has a huge downstream effect. Not only does it consolidate even more so the power in Chase Manhattan Bank and all these other banks, JP Morgan Chase, all these other Bank of America, Citibank, all these other people, it dramatically restricts the ability for people to get loans for a normal everyday life,
That's
like
right.
mortgages, small business. I mean, there's so many different things, car loans, whatever. You basically just have one dealer, and then their terms, you set the market, and that's it. So what are you going to do? If you need a house or something, you go to your small, regional bank or whatever to get that. Yeah, those days may be over.
And here's your tinfoil hat moment. If all of the mid-sized and small banks go away, they all go away. Only the too big to fail banks are around, and they're all owned by corporations. They're owned by the 1%. They are working in lockstep with the government, and you're not doing something they don't like. You're saying something they don't want said. You're refusing to do something they want done. You think you're getting a loan? You think you're getting into the corporate-owned rental? What other choice will you have? Think on that for a minute. That's your tinfoil hat moment. But as far as what's going on now, just like he said, these folks, and I think Sagar, he hit on some really good points. The only pushback I have for him is, just like people were sitting out here betting that interest rates were going to be at zero forever, those same people are out there betting that bailouts are going to always be there. I don't know if there's necessarily going to be a real bailout this time. There may be, they're going to have to do something. He's right. Something's going to have to give. But I think they're going to want some people to fail. I think they're going to want some entities to go under. I think they're going to break some billionaires this time. And then the next time, there's not going to be a bailout. And they're just basically trying to get the business class back to being sensible, and wise with their business decisions. They're basically going to add the risk back to the system, because we've been operating under zero risk for the 1%. That's my take. Let me know what y'all are thinking. It's time to start paying attention, y'all. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.